Hi guys, and welcome back to the Focal Plane podcast. And really, there's no identifiable reason for which you haven't subscribed yet. But today I'm joined by Nicole and Kelly, who are co-founders of Action for BPAN. Now, BPAN is short for beta propeller protein associated neurodegeneration. Now, this is quite a rare but a very, very significant genetic disorder. And I'm really looking forward to understanding how Nicole and Kelly have turned what can be extreme uncertainty and navigated through that to something that has massive hope and potential through their charity that they've created. Guys, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent. Look, so guys, if you had 60 seconds, and there's a big timepiece behind me, so people will know, right, if we're clipping this around. If you had 60 seconds to just explain what is BPAN and what does it mean?
So BPAN is basically a neurodegenerative disorder which affects children from a very early age. Typically, you see seizures from the very beginning, developmental delay, a whole host of movement disorder problems. And unfortunately, not just that, but then you have things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's kicking in to steal all of those much hard-won skills that they have developed, and unfortunately finishing in an early death. So pretty horrible, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, can you tell us how, here we are, both of you. Where has this come from? Where have you come from to be involved with BPAN? What's your stories?
Well, I'm going to blame Nicole for this one because, I started off when we first had Emily's diagnosis back in 2020, knowing that I needed to somehow keep my sanity after such a huge, massive amount of adverse news. By trying to keep active, I basically decided I'm going to run 30k a week and then volunteer my time once a week to charitable causes to just try and keep a bit of routine after having such an awful thing happen. And having been diagnosed by Professor Kurian, who is the national expert for the UK in BPAN, she had explained at the time that there is no cure, therefore no hope. And one thing that could potentially change that would be gene therapy. So if, we started to fundraise as parents, then that could potentially become a reality for us. So that's what I did with the running and the volunteering. I put that out to my family, friends and network. And after maybe a year and a half, it grew to about £100,000. And Nicole fortunately saw that through the only thing that really connected us at the time, a BPAN Families Facebook group, was the only thing that we were given as parents, of a child diagnosed with this condition. There you go and speak to some other parents on the Facebook group. And I publicised what I was doing on there to try and get more attention and more support on the fundraising. And then, Nicole, you got in touch with me and basically started talking about let's do a charity. And
well, it took a little while to get there, didn't it? We had to learn all about charity law and what we needed to do. And it was a lot of skills that I hadn't had in life or in my work, things like that. So yeah, it's been a real ride to get to this point, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's been very hard. It's been all-consuming.
Yeah, at first we thought, oh, well, we'll do it when we can or we have time, a couple of days a week. And then now we're like, wake up, Kelly, or this, that. It's like one thing after the other. And we keep doing all these events and stuff, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It is like
hardcore.
Yeah. We're going all for it.
Yeah.
Well, look, we heard a little bit about how, Kelly, you got, your story there and your journey there. Nicole, tell us a bit about you. So how did you actually then, come into this?
Yeah, so Isabella was diagnosed in 2021, so the next year. And I just couldn't believe that there was no charity in the UK for it. No one was really... There wasn't any organisation actively doing stuff in the UK. So I went on again on the Facebook group, which is what you get given, which is a worldwide Facebook group, and started reaching out to as many people in the UK as would talk to me, parents that would share what they've been through or give me information about how it progressed. And that's where I met Kelly. I saw what she was doing And I had in my mind straight away that there needs to be a charity. There needs to be something so that we can get to where we want to be with a treatment. So yeah, I reached out to Kelly and I went up and met them, and Emily was the first child with BPAN aside from Isabella that I met. And it was actually really nice because she could speak and she could walk, and it was like all the things that I was worrying about for Isabella. Like it just made me feel so much better, and we just clicked straight away, didn't we?
Yeah, and there's a couple of years between them, isn't there? And they are both very different, but in many ways so similar as well. Like when I first met Bella, I obviously didn't know at the time like how her development was going to kind of move along. But now that I've known her for a good few years, I can really see Emily in her back then. And I can see, maybe more so than maybe what Nicole realises, that she is going to get to having words like Emily's got. And it's a lovely, lovely thing to actually have each other to be able to talk about this horrible thing that's going on.
It's the things that if you bring up in casual conversation, sometimes people are not sure what to say.
Yeah.
And they want to be supportive, but the reality is that they may not speak. And so it's nice to speak to parents who understand and get it. Like Isabella's 8 now.
Yeah.
And I think maybe once when she was a baby, she might have said bye. And we all kind of looked at each other like, did she just say bye? And then never again any other words. But she's fully communicative in other ways.
Sure.
Like she'll take you and she's fluent in nursery rhymes, sign language.
Well.
They all have her ways.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, and guys, you've told us a little bit there, both of you, about how some of your journeys then kind of collided together and created something that we're going to talk about in a moment. But can you guys paint us a little bit of a picture? You've spoken about the impact that things had on you. You talked about when, Emily received the diagnosis. Talk us through how that journey was. So when did first you realize that something was wrong? When did first it come to you that, look, something is serious here?
Yeah.
And how did that manifest? How did that come about?
Well, first of all, for Emily, it was she was just a lot slower than what her brother was. So she's got now nearly 13-year-old brother, and his development was ahead of the curve and always doing everything really quickly. So we thought for a while with Emily, when she came along, that she was just much slower and on the other side of the curve. And so we just thought, she'll catch up, she'll get there.
Sure.
That was probably up to about a year, and she still wasn't walking. And we were thinking, she's not just a content little girl sitting where she sits. There's maybe something else going on here. And so we did start those early conversations about, is there anything developmentally going on here?
Yeah.
People just said, don't worry, she'll catch up, it'll be fine. And actually then when she was 15 months old, she had a really severe 72-minute long seizure, which was horrific. Totally makes you feel like you're going to lose her. And it was just one of the worst moments of all of our lives to witness that, not have a clue what was going on, what this was. And from then, unfortunately, we were in the hospital in A&E. At one point they thought she'd had a stroke because one side of her body wasn't moving. This was going on for hours and we were so distraught. We had no idea.
Without sounding really naive about this, what was going through your head at the time?
Well, she's going to die. That's what you basically think. And you just got no understanding of why, or, all that fear is there. But actually, I've learned through a number of times like this now, I'm quite good under pressure, and I just get into kind of what's needed mode, and I'm there with her, talking to her to make sure she realises I'm still there with her.
It's strange, isn't it? You kind of switch off your emotions because this situation is so serious that you don't have time to make mistakes. You don't have the luxury of sitting and having like a selfish meltdown moment.
No.
Because your child needs you. So you just and then, once they're maybe a bit stabilised, then it hits you afterwards, doesn't it? And you're like, I will, when Bells comes out of hospital, I'll be for a week or two really like, oh gosh, low.
Yeah, your whole nervous system is shot.
course,
And
yeah,
you live in that place for a very long time. We're still always on edge because we know that. I mean, I'm very fortunate now that Emily doesn't have seizures. Although saying that, she's had a few breakthrough small ones recently, touch wood. But, you know, the bigger ones, she hasn't had to deal with those for a good 3 years now. And it's just an interruption into life that really rocks you and doesn't allow you to kind of just, you know, enjoy life. And I know obviously Bells is still having seizures, but less so than what she was.
Yeah, so I think for me, like with Isabella's seizures, they have been really severe, especially the big ones. She would have, they're normally set off by temperature, so there could be febrile seizures, and then they would last to about 2 hours. And the only way to get them to stop is to intubate, so induce a coma, and then she would have to stay on life support for a number of days until until it's safe to wake her up again. And it's just the hardest thing, I think, is that BPAN's so severe later in life. You just want them to enjoy their childhood. And the seizures don't let them do that.
That gets massively in the way.
Yeah.
It really is awful part of it.
Yeah. So even with the smaller seizures, so as well as the big seizures, she would also have daily seizures. At her worst in the afternoon, they'd count it on an EEG. Like when you go home and she wears all of the EEG equipment and you have to have her on camera all the time. So when she goes to another room, you have to take the camera, and they would count between 60 and 70 in an hour and a half in the afternoons. So that's why Isabella I felt so delayed, because she was constantly barraged by these tiny seizures, as well as then every couple of months, it was between 4 and 6 months, she would have one of these huge seizures, which was a massive setback. But thankfully we have got some like level of control to it now. She has a VNS device, which has been very helpful for her. And it's just seeing how it goes. She's just gone over a year without a big seizure now.
Well, that all happened as we were establishing the charity, wasn't it? Like, was it February last year? And we just launched, I think.
Yeah.
And Nicole and Bells were in the hospital for 5 days, I think, or something similar. And it was just... it's horrible to witness, knowing what that feels like. You feel helpless, but actually, thankfully...
it's so nice to be able to speak to someone who understands and who gets it. But really, it just motivates me even more. Like things like that now, I think that we have the charity and the tools to be able to do it. I'm like, no, I can do something about this helpless situation. And so we just pour ourselves into whatever we can do.
And that negativity around the seizures and the everyday and all of that, like you were just alluding to there, that isn't the worst of it, because there's this second phase of BPAN, that is the neurodegeneration that kicks in adolescence phase, which is between 10 and 18 years old. And Emily has just turned 10 last week. So now I feel like I'm absolutely, there's living on borrowed time, basically. So the like motivation,
you just away, isn't it?
That kind of keeping your sanity with that sort of thing, you've just got to, well, for me anyway, and us, we found this way of putting our energy into the charity to do something positive about this. And we're getting there. We are actually, on our way. We've established a gene therapy project at Great Ormond Street Hospital with UCL. They've got the preclinical work already going. That was £100,000 worth of the fundraising, which enabled them to get another £500,000 of funding. And that's what they're doing right now. And our next piece for gene therapy anyway is to get £2.3 million together to actually take that work to human trials. And that is possible within the next 3 to 5 years if we can raise that money quickly. So that's where we're fully focused. But obviously our community of people that have, a patient or a family member with BPAN is so small that we really rely on, these parents that are already exhausted and knackered and have so much to do caring for their child already. We need them to step up and actually help us to do this, because they're motivated in all the right ways. But in terms of whether they've got the energy for it,
Yeah,
it's another
it's difficult,
story,
isn't it?
right? It's the same for us.
I can ask something just to take a slight step back, and I promise we'll come back to the BPAN, the meat of it, in terms of the action for BPAN, things that you do. But can you tell us a little bit about how, from when you first had those significant moments with Emily and Bella, where you talked about a seizure that she had that lasted, for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Between then and getting that diagnosis, how long did that take? I'm curious to know what that period of time was like.
So she was 15 months old at that very first seizure, and then we had pushed the NHS quite ferociously to say, we don't believe this is just seizures, there's epilepsy going on, because that's how they were looking at it. We think this is a symptom of something else.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, I'd had quite a few people in my close circle of friends diagnosed with cancer, quite similar timing. And so that had made me quite focused on health, and I was just not willing to accept it's just epilepsy. So anyway, ended up pushing and saying, can we not do something else to test into what this is? And eventually we ended up getting genetic testing through the 100 Genome Project. And that was 9 months of waiting. And by the time we got the actual diagnosis, Emily was 4.5. So that had taken, 3 years then?
Wow.
Yeah, to get to something as devastating as BPAN. But you want to know this, right? You want to know what you're dealing with. So now that we do, we've managed to get, obviously, into action about it.
I mean, I have no words for that. 3 years of having no sense of really what's happening, but something very serious happening.
Yeah, it was horrendous. And honestly, one unique part of our story is that we got sent a letter that we weren't supposed to see saying, do you think Emily presents with signs of BPAN? And that was our introduction to what BPAN is. I mean, you obviously get that letter, you look into it and you go, well, what the absolute hell is this? And so we were told that we weren't supposed to ever see that. And Emily's neurology team at the time apologised and said a tick in the system wasn't ticked and you shouldn't have seen that, and it should have gone to only the neurology team. And that just got us to panic massively.
Yeah,
right?
They always say, don't Google it. Yeah. And you're like, as if I'm not going to Google it, I need to know.
Heart palpitations just thinking about that.
You want to know what's going on so desperately. Like Isabella was tested for Angelman syndrome and Tourette's and some other things. I can't remember the names of them now, but it was always, don't Google it. But we're going to test for this. I'm like, well, I'm not going to not Google it. And you can always pick out similarities of things that you can see at home, and it's just that waiting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you do get the news, obviously there wasn't anyway much UK-based information, or there obviously was no charity for
as we were saying earlier,
support.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult. You had to figure it out by yourself. This was like pre-chat GPT as well, so you would end up having to try and read these scientific papers to piece together what's happening. Obviously, that might be for us. That paper might be for a specific subject. So you read that and you're like, oh, what's that word? Because it's just like scientific.
Trying to understand whether that relates to
just to build a picture.
Yeah.
I guess the point of me asking that really was just to highlight something that I had thought, and I just wanted to make sure, which was, this is such a condition. It's so rare and so not well known about, or so not well understood at every level, that that journey that you went through. I think some of the things that I know you guys are looking at with Action for BPAN is as well as some of the goals that you have, which we're going to touch on now, is about helping people through that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, that volunteering piece right from the very beginning was critical, because helping others, I know it sounds like a cliche, was helping me. And then I realised after a little while, this time and energy could be put elsewhere that would be way more beneficial to us as a family and many others dealing with this same situation. So that was a huge part of it. And I always bang on about this, like how the mental health side of this for parents and carers, this is a huge element that drives us, right, every single day to carry on and do things. biggest motivation's the girls, obviously.
100%.
But the fact that you're helping other people is a huge piece as well.
I think when you speak to a parent who's where you were in those early days, you just have such compassion for them because you know exactly how they are feeling. And it's nice to be able to say what's going on now. And it's nice to kind of give the download of BPAN and everything that we're doing. It's not as much a hopeless situation as it was. And
that's us. You and I have created that together and given a massive amount of hope, but we don't give ourselves enough credit, I don't think, personally. But we're making a big difference. You know, we're not going into this with our eyes closed. We do know there's no guarantees, but we're getting there.
And let's talk about this difference that you guys are making, right? So, Action for BPAN. And I encourage everybody to go onto the website, have a look at some of the information that you put out about actually what BPAN is, about what people may expect when they receive that diagnosis, and also some of the work that you're doing. But what was the real thing that you guys were hoping to start when you went, okay, Action for BPAN is a thing now? What was the main purpose behind it at the time?
I think it was just having something to do rather than nothing. Like having someone to speak up, having an organisation that can advocate, that parents can come and join and use as a platform, and just like the endless possibilities. Of course, we want the research, we want treatments, and we want to support other families, but it was just so needed because there wasn't anything like it for families to come together and do what needs to be done. We will get there. It's just a matter of when. And obviously the more people join, it's going to speed things along so much. And I think really as well, the fact that we've relied so much on the kindness of people who don't have a connection to BPAN because it is so rare, can't be understated. Like we've had some amazing help from just the most fantastic, loveliest people and it's really a difficult thing to put yourself out there. And just like I didn't even used to post on Facebook or anything before the charity, but when it's your child, you're like, we don't have a choice now. So I do it all, even though my body says no, my mouth is like, yeah, okay. I think that's just that you just can't, there's so much lovely people out there who have helped us along the way. Like there was no way we would have got as far as we did without everyone's support.
Yeah. Changing that isolation where it took us years to get, really properly talking to each other. Yeah. You don't feel like opening up actually at that beginning point. I feel like we were hermits for a good year after we had that diagnosis. And thankfully that changed.
I was surprised that's all it was,
Yeah. It was very, very isolating for all families. And that's what they're then going to feel as soon as they're diagnosed. And unfortunately, it's on the up in terms of how many kids are being diagnosed with BPAN now. Yeah. We see something new on that Facebook group every week.
And we're having older adolescents or adults being diagnosed for the first time. So it was only discovered in 2012. Yeah. So people were diagnosed with different conditions and then now they're being re-diagnosed, actually have BPAN. Yeah. So they're coming in looking for answers for that later stage of life as well. It's really, but
it really numbers, isn't it? It's hope that really keeps you driven and providing that to so many other families that, there's various different shapes and sizes of families. Some won't even look into research, won't even think about that. Yeah. Others will be all over it.
Everyone's got their own battles to deal with. Right? Yeah. So, how can you expect everyone to just be able to focus on what's needed at every moment, every time?
That's it.
There's who knows what pressures people are facing outside of what then becomes a ton of bricks, to put it lightly. Yeah. Suddenly rocks your world.
Well, when you're given the diagnosis and you're told that it's a terminal condition, so you don't want that, but you think, okay, well, I have to accept it because that's what they've told me it is. So you're in this like weird limbo of, well, surely something could be done, but then the other half of you or the other half of me was saying, but it's terminal, so maybe I should just enjoy the time I have with her. And it was like getting my head around, and obviously the situation has changed now. There's treatments that are being worked on and there is hope. But yeah, I guess it's that, which way do you go? Do you accept and enjoy the time that you have? Or do you like, oh no, we're going to...
Was there a moment that flipped that switch for you? Was there a moment where you went from like almost, I don't want to say acceptance, but it sort of sounds like you're describing something similar. Like
I went back and forth like constantly, because I'd be like really up and like, we can do it, I'm going to do this, I want to do a charity. I think before we had Action for BPAN, I even more was like back and forth. But then once we had Action for BPAN and we started making progress,
there's no question then, is there?
Now I can see the path. There's no question.
When you were talking to me on the phone, because Nicole lives in Kent and I'm in Maidenhead Way, and I remember you convincing me, saying, come on, I know we can do this, look at what you've already done already. We're both so motivated in all the right ways. And in my mind I was like, yeah, but that's going to be such a lot of work. And like you're saying, do you just focus that energy into the family? Because our kids need therapies coming out their ears to get to the points of progression that they actually meet. There's so much work with our children anyway, that then you're layering on another really huge task. It's an awful lot. And we are just at capacity. Although we're achieving a lot, we need more help. And this is what, we've got to this point now where we're like, okay, we are doing well, but we're not going to meet this 2.3 million unless we bring a lot more people along with us on this journey and ask for more help and support. Yeah. So that's where we are. Yes. And actually in, what is it now? A weekend away, we've got our very first BPAN Families Day, which is going to be at Great Ormond Street Hospital with the UCL research team as well.
Yeah, okay.
And we've got over 120 people coming to that event, which is huge and a little bit kind of panic.
Yeah, like,
setting in now. But we are prepared. We're getting there. And we've got the support of the Great Ormond Street folks as well to get that event going. But honestly, that was us sitting, realising when we first got to meet the research team, we were like kids in a sweetie shop, because we were like, these are the people that are going to cure
it's
our
like
girls.
Meeting celebrities. Like when someone comes in that knows about BPAN, I'm like, oh my God.
It literally is. And we were so giggly walking into that meeting.
Because they can save your child. I was like, oh my God.
Just like bringing that to this group of people then on the 18th of April is going to be so exciting, and hopefully create the education that they need in order to realise this is a real opportunity that we've got to actually do this and eradicate BPAN.
And ask the questions that everyone wants to ask, because to have everyone there, it's never happened before. If we can finally have big group discussions and families connecting, and we've had like a couple social meetups, but nothing like this with the researchers presenting to the families and being able to just have chats with it about everything.
Look at that journey already, right? So you guys, when you were talking earlier, Nicole, about how this all came about and what was the main purpose behind it. The first theme that you were giving me strongly was about the community, right? So look, starting Action for BPAN because we just needed to know other people.
Yeah.
That's coming across to me as like the main kind of raison d'etre for why it started in that first instance. And then you went to then have moments of actually, there's some hope here. There's some understanding that actually this isn't just something we have to sit and accept.
Yeah.
But then also you realize that hope itself isn't a strategy. And actually getting your dedication, your hard work, obviously fueled by things that are nearest and dearest to you, 100%. But you're bringing people into that now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. This event you guys got going on at Great Ormond Street, it's about the families.
Yeah.
Yes, you're bringing the researchers together, fantastic. And I'm sure that's going to be like a wonderful moment for so many people. But just look at that. Just take a moment to understand what that is.
Yeah. We've even actually managed to inspire a couple of other countries to get involved. So there's BPAN Heroes in Greece and BPAN Matters in Spain that have both established themselves in the last 6 months.
Wow, okay.
And they're also now on this journey with us to fund the gene therapy project in the UK. So that's another huge piece that we're
it's
super
like
proud
momentum
of.
is growing.
Yeah.
And when we speak to the researchers, like they all say, we can't believe how big the team is. Like there's so many projects running in parallel now that it never happens for a rare disease. And we just feel like we have to keep that momentum building so that, and obviously with the funds as well, so that when they're ready to go to the next stage, we can say, right, no delay, let's carry on.
That's the ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah.
So their preclinical work ends in May 2027. If we can get that 2.3 million raised by that point, they can smoothly move to the human trials, submit all of their evidence and data that they've been collating in the labs on, the brain organoids work, the mouse work, actually curing it in the lab, and then move that to human trials. So that's the ultimate, isn't it?
And gene therapy as well, which just blows my mind, is a one-time treatment. It's something that you just have once, and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you're given the treatment at such a younger age, then you probably never even, never know that the potential of what your life could have been like. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And we also do have, obviously, an older community of patients with BPAN that gene therapy doesn't mean that it's not going to be accessible for them at all, because they will set the human trial criteria with a wide age group. But there's also another project, a treatment, which is like a drug repurposing project, something called cardiac glycosides, which is a potential to improve quality of life. And because that's a drug that's already out there and MHRA and FDA approved, it's a much shorter timescale to deliver that.
Sure.
We're thinking a couple of years more than sort of 4 or 5 years. And that is a potential game changer for those older patients in our community as well.
Yeah.
So that's a hell of a lot that 2.3 million brings, really.
It's a lot of money, but you say that as well, and it's actually, it's an achievable amount if you've got enough people behind you helping you. That's how we feel, isn't it?
And what is the best way then for people to kind of support you? Apart from, look, we can talk about charities, we can talk about donations, but what actually, when you guys sit down and think about the work that you're doing strategically about how to raise awareness, but also how to get people to understand and feel the need to support action for BPAN, what's the best way that people can get involved?
Well, honestly, in terms of our journey so far, we've done an awful lot of grassroots fundraising, and that has, it's knackered us out. It's a lot of work to do that, and all of the fundraising is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
But now that we've been doing that for a year, I feel like we've got the right to actually go and have much more strategic conversations with philanthropists, with those trusts, with, high net worth individuals that want to be part of something amazing, like eradicating a rare disease. And it's not something that's going to take many, many years. It's not something you put your money into where you don't really know what it's going to do. This has got a very clear start, middle and end.
Yes.
And you could be a huge part of that. So if people are looking towards how can they do good things, whether that's from a corporate social responsibility perspective or an individual perspective, we are all open and we are very happy to work with anybody who's interested.
Yeah, I think just when people have made introductions for us as well has been something that's been fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Someone will have an idea and say, I can introduce you to so-and-so, and it leads to something else. Or having someone do some fundraising or do the London to Brighton. Like we've got the London to Brighton coming up. We're doing it. Well, my partner's doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing Snowdon in June.
Yeah,
like
June the 20th.
Yeah, so we're climbing Snowdon, but it's so lovely when someone who's not necessarily connected to the charity sees our story and thinks, I'd like to help out and I'd like to do some fundraising.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And, just to, because I've been asked a couple times, no one takes any salaries at Action for BPAN. Like literally, we are constantly like putting in and supporting, like not just our own time, but our own money as well. Like we treasure like every pound that's donated or raised for us. because at the end of the day, it is our children.
Yeah.
And we feel the responsibility as well of like the wider community. Like everyone's been working together, doing fantastic family fundraising. And I feel like we have like a responsibility to make sure that we maximise everything and every opportunity.
Well, we knew going into this it needed to be whiter than white. That's just what charities are, right?
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of bad news stories in the recent past where people have done things they shouldn't have. We just knew it had to be whiter than white. We'll communicate, as much as we can about what we're doing with the money, making sure that it's going to the right places, and we're honest and open about that.
Yeah.
And that's just us, isn't it, at the end of the day? So it's not like it's a hard thing to do, although it is exhausting. But now that we've got families doing things, not necessarily needing our support to do it, they're off doing that grassroots piece anyway. And we're just trying to inspire more people to come in and do more of that. But we know if, we get that right connection, it can only be one or two that might just take us to that 2.3. It could be somebody in Greece, it could be somebody in Spain, maybe here, it might be a multitude of places. But I feel like now we've got that credibility of being in action for a year. We've got that, we've earned the right to go and ask for much bigger amounts of money now. And we originally thought we were going to go after a lot more grants than we have been able to. There's actually not that many grants out there for research. So that was one piece that was quite disappointing to discover as we got into it more. So we really do need to rely on that more philanthropic, high net worth individual approach. And we keep saying to each other, we're going to spend all our time just on that now because we know that's the right way to do it and the right approach. But it's just so busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about this then. So I'm not trying to digress too much, but with all the stuff you've been saying, the massive amounts of work that you put in for Action to BPAN, what does a day in the life look like for Nicole and Kelly? I mean, because do you know what? Just tell us. What is a day in the life for you?
Maybe like just organised chaos. Literally, the girls don't sleep amazing.
No.
I still have to sleep with Isabella in case she has a seizure in the night, which she has done before. Wake up, probably about 3 different breakfasts. Straight on the emails as well on your phone. I have to put my earphones in when I'm on the phone because Isabella's like, oh, FaceTime. I'm like, no, not FaceTime. I'm just on the phone. It's just trying to enjoy the girls and be present in the moment as well as doing all the work. So as soon as I drop her off at school, straight on the laptop.
Yeah, school hours is because we're very obviously with what happens in any rare disease and your child is ill, you want your time with them to be the best quality that it can be. So we do quite a good job of, okay, the girls are, you need your playtime to feel like you're having a nice life, but then also you need to be on it and working and squeezing every second of the day. And actually the one thing we do really badly is look after ourselves. So we are trying to, I'm a tiny bit better than you are, I think. You need to definitely prioritise yourself a little bit more than you do. But honestly, it's when you're trying to save your children, what are you going to do?
All the therapies in between, all the hospital visits, everything.
The life admin can be intense as well, can't it? I think everything comes in like stages as well. So all of a sudden you'll have loads of appointments come through, or you'll think, oh, right, I need to get this done, I need to get that done. And it's just kind of managing that, isn't it?
Yeah, and the multitude of forms that are 72 pages long to get access to things through the government that your girls or your children need. That is a day job in itself, managing the EHCP, which is a document for them to go to their special schools. That is a horrendous process to have to go through every single year. So you really do have to be laser focused on your priorities. And sometimes we won't manage to do it all. And that'll just have to be the way it is. But we, especially when we've got events coming up, end up doing evening work. We catch up as and when we can, 5 o'clock in the morning, 9, 10 o'clock at night if we have to. And it just ramps up, especially with events. So I think we're looking forward to, after this next few months, kind of stepping back away from events a little bit and actually, like we say, being more strategic.
On, reaching out to...
tailoring our approach.
Who might be looking for something like BPAN, who have an interest in science and rare disease, or making
just
a cure for something.
Story, isn't it? That's what we've realised. Our story is massively powerful, and people just need to hear it, and the right individuals will come. I do feel that.
Absolutely. And this is really why I asked this question, because we can talk for days about how absolutely you have that big target to meet, and as you guys alluded to earlier and actually said outright, time is limited in many ways. Right? Not just because of when trials may kick off, not just because of that at all. It's about what BPAN actually means and what it does. And that monumental task or series of tasks that you do every hour of every waking minute that you get, I know you wouldn't ever change any of those things. Just from hearing you talk, I know you would never go back and say, I regret doing all those things for my child.
No.
You'll never do that. But that is incredible. That's what's behind all of this. And that's what I would love for people to see. Because, hearing that story and hearing how you guys go through it day to day, why wouldn't someone want to support that?
Yeah. And it's real. Those researchers and, the team at GOSH and UCL are phenomenal. These guys, we went to a gene therapy conference a few months back now. We sat next to a guy who'd been cured by a gene therapy. I think it was back in 2014, many years ago now. And GOSH are at the forefront of gene therapy and all of this sort of biomedical research. And all we're doing is publicising the fact that we've got the right team. We're sat there as a waiting patient community for this. And I know there's multiple out there, but this point in time is very exciting because AI plays a huge role in acceleration, but we do have the right researchers to get this done. And it's just bringing awareness to that. And that's our biggest job, really.
And I think progress for one is progress for all within the rare disease community as well, because for all of these types of treatments, but most of them are all family fundraisers, family organisations that really drive the fundraising to get these over the line. But then it makes it quicker for the ones who come next as well. They streamline things. They, can learn from what they've done before. So it really will help other conditions as well.
The infrastructure's all there. It literally just comes down to money. It's a case of when, not if.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And guys, if there was one message from each of you that you would love for people to hear, and the one thing that you would just hope people understand and get, what would it be?
For me, I would say I'm a very, very positive person, and that probably comes across quite obviously, I would say, to everybody that I meet. I do love people. I don't know if that's a rare thing or not, but I do. And most people I really enjoy. So don't let that be the thing that you take away. Or she's all right, she's doing fine. I do need a lot of help and support with this. And, we're on this journey. And although I might come across as a very positive person, it is very twisted and painful inside my body. So please help us to get where we need to be. That's all I would say. Because I've been worried about that recently, that I'm just too sunny outwardly and I don't really paint the negative picture. And I know for me, that's a survival mechanism, right? I don't want to think about Emily degenerating in any way. So I don't think about that. But that is the reality of what will happen if we aren't, if we aren't successful on this mission.
And I certainly, yes, you're right. Your positivity does come across quite palpably. But what we've been talking about today paints that reality. And it shows that actually, well, you kind of have to inherently be a bit positive to get to where you want to get to.
Yeah, that's
ultimately,
true.
neither of you would be in this situation now where you're in a position to really make some impactful change if you didn't have that positive belief about yourselves and exude that for other people to draw them in.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Now, once you draw people in, and as we all do as human beings, how we actually continue that empathy with each other is to go, well, but what's beneath that surface? And what does it really look like?
Yeah.
And how many of these battles are we all fighting that we can't see?
Yeah.
That actually, if we just came together and stopped fighting them in disparate places,
I
we
think
can do something really powerful.
Yeah.
with Action for BPAN as well, like although people who we speak to when we're raising awareness, they may not know BPAN.
Yeah.
But I've heard so many stories from other people about either a child or a family member, a rare disease or a not so rare disease that's devastated someone. And just hearing other people's journeys has really inspired me and obviously given me so much more empathy. Like I understand we're obviously on this journey for BPAN, but there's so much good in the world. And when you take the time to listen to someone else's story and just try and imagine, that's what I would say, is just imagine how you would feel or imagine what you would do or what would you like someone to do if that was your child. And I feel like that has been something that I've learned to not just receive, but just to give to other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reality is, Nicole, from what you said, I mean, just purely from my own perspective, I'll never understand what that's like. That's just a fact. And really what you both are sitting here and saying is you kind of hope that nobody ever understands it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because why would you want people to live the day-to-day that you do?
No, you don't. You don't want any, but you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, would you? You know, I feel like we do an amazing job, actually, of surviving in a really tough situation. And it's made easier, not easy, but easier by having each other.
Yeah. And I think, obviously, because we have Emily and Isabella, when I feel exhausted or stressed out, there's no greater motivation than like Isabella doing something silly or just coming over to give cuddles and kisses. And I think, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. I'm energised again. Literally, they can just fill your cup in a second and you're ready to go again.
That's so true. They're such beautiful little lights, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just pure. Honestly, you're going to have to meet them.
Yeah.
And hey, on your websites, you've written their stories out, right? And that's I love reading that. I love reading actually there was that kernel of joy underneath it all, which is what gave that sort of real purpose for it all, you know, as well as, you know, you very articulately write, and particularly I remember reading about Bella's story, you very articulately say, you know, the journey that she went through and what you kind of realised. But yeah, it is everything we've been talking about today, actually. Where's things going? What could we do with it?
Yeah. Turning all that negativity into positive.
It's trying to get it out in words, isn't it? That's why it can be so long as well. Like when I write an email, I have to say, what is BPAN? Because no one really knows what it is. I'm like, please give my email a second because I don't want to say, BPAN, because everyone's like, I don't know what that is anyway. But
and there's all the outtakes I've got from me trying to say it earlier. You know, there's which no one will ever see. Yeah.
I remember speaking to a mum really early days, and she was so helpful. Unfortunately, she did lose her daughter. Oh, sorry. But I remember her saying, you'll become your child's expert and you'll become your child's advocate. And I was so overwhelmed. I was thinking, I don't think I could do it. Like, I can't see it.
And look at you now.
And I messaged her a couple of months ago and I just said, like, thank you so much for what you said. Like, it really stuck with me. And now I feel like, I do feel more confident with BPAN, with seizures, because it's like a whole new work life, isn't it? When someone says, this is going to be your child's life, it's not what you envisioned for them.
No, not at all.
And you have to learn so much so quickly. But you do get there. I'd say to anyone who is going through the journey, it does get better.
Yeah. You can't even see that, though, at the beginning, can you? You're just devastated.
Yeah.
And then actually time and ways of coping makes it slightly more manageable. It's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody who wants to come and join us on our mission is absolutely welcome. You know, we are here, we're all ears, and we need all the help we can get. So yeah.
And please read Isabella and Emily's stories.
Yeah, 100%. I'll advocate for that, because that's probably the most impactful thing on that website, really.
Yeah, they're such a delight, aren't they?
Yeah, it's understanding like all their little ways and seeing them as just more than just BPAN. They've got so many amazing qualities, and they're just, and not just Emily and Isabella. We've met so many children with BPAN.
Yeah, of course.
And they're the most loveliest group of kids. They're just normal kids running around, having fun, or, you know, the way they interact with each other.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them I'm yet to come across someone with BPAN who doesn't have like that little gentle way about them. They're all like a bit like, oh, hi, like
very, very smiley.
Yeah,
you
really
can get
friendly,
them giggling like
social
crazy.
butterflies.
Wonderful.
They
Excellent.
are gorgeous.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And guys, where can people go? So there's your website, but where else can people find out more about you?
All over social media.
Yeah, we've got
everywhere.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn
Instagram.
for the more, corporate side of things, but definitely Facebook, Instagram,
Excellent.
and TikTok as well.
100%. Wonderful. We'll make sure we put all these links down below in the descriptions so people can find that out. But guys, thank you so much for sharing your journeys.
Oh, Sam, thank you for giving us the chance, honestly.
Thanks.
I mean, what incredible people you are. I mean, wow.
Thanks.
And knowing what you've built and where you're going with it, the strategic way that you're doing it, to just make sure that, you know, so many people can benefit now, in the future, generations and generations and generations. That's mad to think about. So well done, and keep going, and let's help to support you to keep going, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Guys, look, if you have been as inspired as I've been by the stories that we've heard from Kelly and Nicole, then please do give them a follow. Look at their website. I'll put all the links down below in the description, like I mentioned before, and make sure we support them as best as we can to get to the outcomes that we need. Thanks.